What up, guys? I got a big roof here. Of course, this is split up into 4 suites, and I'm working on that one. And the roof hatch is back there. So, I got a Cambridge unit down, and it's not this one, even though the door is open for some reason. I think it's gonna be, there's one there, and then one on the other side for this suite. Disconnect's gone too. Yeah, I don't know. I'm pretty sure it's not that one. I'll close that door on my way back. Pretty sure it's gonna be that guy, but I got a little turned around. The parking lots are separated too, so you got to go out to the main road and around. It just makes it a pain. They ought to put at least 2 hatches on these roofs. So I kicked it on down at the thermostat. The burner light came on for a split second and then went out. So looks from down there like it's trying to fire, but not firing. So this is our guy. I think it's in the sun, but it feels warm. I don't hear the blower running right now. So let's get into this panel, and we'll have to get in the control panel too. Let's see, it's probably locked out down there already. You got a high limit in here. Yeah, I don't think it blowers on it. Probably locked out on the. It's got a low temp limit basically. That gas pressure switch, it's in the on position, so it's not tripped. So let's get in the control panel and see what we got, and then if we have to, we can pull this burner out. It's kind of a pain in the ass, but I have to get some big wrenches up here if we got to do that. So we'll have to turn the power back on, but we do have it's an old style, so we got a flame safe guard with an LED. We are in remote. I had it calling for heat, but we can put it in local mode up here if we need to. Blower overload's not tripped. We felt it was blowing good air. You could feel it down below. Somebody's been into the high limit before. It's missing a screw. Yeah, I don't think the high limit was tripped. That's your TS114. That's the temp sensor that helps maintain the supplier temperature and modulates the burner. From what I can see, the belts look tight. We'll have to get over there and see what happens when we kick it back in. Damper goes first. Belts don't sound great. There's no sight. I just heard the gas valve. That thing's rocking and rolling, man. That's not a good flame. Something right there. That thing was rocking and rolling. It got worse, it seemed like, when the burner fired. Let's look at the belts and go from there. So there's your actuator. Doesn't look like anybody's been in here and cleaned much. Screw type actuator. It's got an in switch inside here too, so it had to have opened and made the in switch. Belts, I mean, I don't know why we're making racket except for the pulleys are junk. They don't feel terribly worn, they're just rusted. But at least the belts are tight and in pretty good shape. Let's kick it back on. Let's verify that my damper's actually moving. We can pop that panel off and look inside at that damper, and then kind of go from there. So I got that panel off. Looks like that damper's stuck. I don't know if you can see that damper in there, but it's cracked open a little bit. I wonder if it's not stuck and it's not opening. That would make sense for the... Get there quick before that blower kicks in. Shut it back off. That damper's out of whack. So this is kind of tight up in here, but we saw it trying to move, and apparently it's making the end switch as long as nobody's bypassed the damn thing. Wouldn't surprise me. Usually these fail and that's what they do, but the damper's got to be open. Now, that's your end switch. It's making prematurely, so you can actually adjust from here. That little gear will turn, so we probably need to adjust it. That's what's happening. You can see it's already, so that switch there, it pushes it down, the indentation here. So when it makes, it closes that switch and it knows the damper's open. So I'm gonna have to figure out which way that rotates and get it adjusted a little bit, because there's one on the back side too. I'm not sure. I guess that tells it it's closed. I'm not sure about that, but the damper looked like it rotated. So let's put it in local and see if we can't cycle that damper. So we can come here and just go off for now. Shouldn't do anything. And we can keep the burner off and just kick the blower on. Not wobbling anymore. Let's turn that off. That damper's not closing either. So we got a problem here that I'm gonna have to figure out. I don't know that I've ever seen one do that and still operate. I guess it's closing the switch, so it doesn't really care. I'll dig into that, but I got the damper all the way open now. It looks like it's just kind of stuck, but it opened further. I'm not sure what the deal with that is. So we got to dig into that a little bit. Let's close this back up, and now that the damper's open, let's see if the burner will fire first, and then we can get into the actuator problem. What happens if that damper stays open is if it shuts off, satisfy space temp, you'll get cold air migrate down and it'll actually drop down into the space. This is an industrial space, so it runs a lot, and I don't know that it's gonna affect it too much if we have to leave it open until we can get, a new damper, figure out what the hell's going on, because I'm not sure. I've never seen one do that before. Let's give it a shot and see if it won't fire. Burner still doesn't look good to me. It's got airflow now, so it's going to keep running. Let's let it run for a minute and see. Should be able to pull. I had to do some research again. I think it's 3 and 8 or 6 and 8 maybe. You pull the wire and it goes to low fire. You pull the other wire, it goes to high fire. So we can do that as well. Make sure the burner modulates that way. At least goes to low fire. Turn the burner back off. A couple things with these. This, I was talking about the temp sensor. This is the entering temp sensor. You can see we're set. That switch is 45. So at 45 degrees, if it senses the burner's not fired, it shuts everything off. And then 64 to 66 is probably that's going to be when it turns the burner off altogether and just allows the blower to run, I believe. These are the old ones. The Selectra here, I haven't researched yet, but they've got this thing cranked up to 160. That's why my flame's so damn big. Looked like I let it run for a few minutes. Looked like it started to kind of back off, but it was in high fire. So let's adjust that down. Let's say 130-ish. I mean, I think that limit's probably 180. And then we'll fire the burner again. It's probably 40 degrees out here now, so it's not terribly cold. Get you a shot. You're looking at the end of that flame. Back here looks like a decent blue flame. It's just overfired, or was overfired, because this is trying to maintain 160 degrees. I think I heard it. Yeah. So that burner's still lit right now, and it modulated when I backed this off. I don't know if you all can hear that, but you can hear the burner modulate when you hit that. You don't want to touch sensitivity unless you have to. But this is what the supplier we're trying to maintain. So now we know the burner works. We got the damper open, so now we got to figure out what the hell's going on with the damper. All right, so we might just have the temperature adjustment to make here. Reading over this, first of all, I haven't read a whole lot of these, so when I'm looking for something, come over here to your legend and just find your damper motor. So D and D1 is my damper motor, so then you can go find it on the thing here. D1 It goes through the overload, and then MS is the motor starter. And then D is going to be the other part of that damper, I believe, when it closes. And note 2, where'd you go? They like to spread their notes out, which I don't like, because then you got to go find it. Damper will not close unless the blower service switch is in the remote position. So it's not going to close. That's why it's not closing. So we got to put it in remote. We've got the burner off still, so we should be able to put it in remote. But since it's calling for heat, it's gonna run now. It might shut off on the air temp. I'm gonna have to play with this and figure out how we're gonna adjust that damper. I'm not sure how it got so far out of whack, but somebody's up here, obviously been up here messing with stuff, because we shouldn't be on 160. And then I've got the same unit over there, so I'm gonna go look at that guy too and see what it's set on, because 160 is awful high. All right, so we do have a calibration procedure for that, but just reading over this, it's supposed to be set to 160. So maybe I'm thinking of something else. I work on too much random shit. And it's been a while since I worked on one of these, and I like these units. So what I'm gonna do is we're gonna get a temp probe in there. Usually what I do, some of the older ones actually had temp probes already there, and you would just plug the K-type into your meter. I'm gonna get somewhere in here and see, there's a little hole up top I might be able to slide my probe down in, but I'm gonna get a probe over there and we'll fire it and make sure we're maintaining the 160. So just reading through, there is a whole thing on adjusting this, but basically it's verify it's closed, move the cams to where they need to be to make those switches, pull the blower wire so you don't have a call for G, and then that's so smart, and we'll make sure it doesn't bottom out there. Should be close. Okay, so we're good there. It just hit the switch, and you can see that damper's closed. So it looks like that's okay. It's just the whole opening thing that was, I'm gonna go a few clicks back and see where that gets me, because it looked like it was, you could see it pushing, like it's, the damper stopped it, and you don't want to lock it up either way, because these motors are a pain in the ass to change. They've got a new kit for them, and it's using like a different type actuator, but we don't want to play that game either. So if we should be able to just put it in local now and just make sure we're fully open and nothing. That's perfect. You saw it didn't bind up at all as it was opening that damper, and it came on right when it was supposed to. So I kind of like where it's set. We'll let's put it all back together and get my temp sensor in there, and then we'll see how everything looks at that point. So again, I went through the steps. I'm not trying to do a DIY here. You just want to make sure this is not bound up. It's got some play with your linkage here and on the other side. So it's got a little bit of play. My damper's doing what it's supposed to now, because I've got them. The book even shows this outer cam at a 4 o'clock position when it's fully closed, or just beyond a 4 o'clock position. And actually you're looking at it that way, so it's a little confusing, but this is about where it needs to be, and you can see it's not locked up. It's got some movement, same way going the other way. Now let's get everything back together and check our temperature. So just to show y'all what's inside this box here, there's your TS114. That's the temp sensor, and it's a little dirty, but it looks okay. There is a, I don't know what you call it, a sampling tube or what, but the air comes in here, and then I think it's got another spot on the bottom where it goes out, because this is your high limit. So we should be able to take, and that's why they give you this little grommet, a K-type probe, and just go right in there, and that should give us an accurate reading of what our actual temp sensor's reading, and we should be like the book said, around 160 degrees or whatever you're set on. It depends on models. Some of these smaller ones are 130. I think that's where I had my brain at earlier. So let's get all this back in and turn her on. So now we're set up. I got my outdoor temp, which doesn't really matter. We're just gonna kick it back in to remote and remote, and let it cycle off of the thermostat downstairs. And we'll be able to watch that burner fire. See what kind of supply temp we get. Now, I've seen it modulate by just adjusting that dial, so I've got it set back to 160. I'm not concerned about it modulating. We might need to pull and clean this burner at some point, but I'm not going to do that right now if it's firing. And we're just going to let it sit for a few minutes and run. It should hit that 160 mark and start backing off. And then I'm going to let it run while I go over and look at that one. I want to make sure that damper, because somebody had to get in there and turn those cams for that damper to be like that. There it goes, backing down. Alright, so we're gonna let it run. Let's go over and check this other one, and I gotta close that door, don't let me forget that. So this blower's got a little noise to it too. We are set at 160. My burner is fired. Burner's fired. I can't get you a look because you gotta look back in this way. They need to make a better place to see the damn burner. Turn that guy off. That sounds like motor bearings is what that sounds like. So we'll get in here and look at this damper too. So same deal here. Got it in remote, pulled G. Our damper should be closed. I did check it. I was trying to keep from the noise. It's closed. And it's not, you know, locked up or anything. So I'm happy with this one. This one was not a problem, but I'm gonna put it all together. This one's gonna be all right, and then we'll talk to them about, you know, greasing motor bearings and maybe pulling these burners and cleaning them, because that's motor bearings was this noise. I don't know how well y'all can tell over the belt noise, but that motor needs to be greased. I can't tell. It doesn't look like anybody's greased them recently. There ain't no new grease on there, so we need to do that before the motor dies. Let's go get this back together and check on our other guy. Now, let's see where we're at with this guy. About 40 degrees, right at that 160 mark. I like it. I think the only problem was that damper being jacked up, and I don't know how it got that way. At least we're open fully now, and you can see it's not doing its rocking and rolling. I'll probably get an amp draw on the motor. It's got an overload, so if there was a problem, that would have shut it off. Hell, that one's gonna go first because those bearings sound like crap. But this thing sounds good now. I'm gonna go down, clean up all my stuff, and talk to the customers. But you don't have to know everything about all this stuff. Like I said, I'm not trying to do a DIY thing, but read the damn manual. I don't remember how to test the damper. I've done it once or twice, but read the manual. It's going to tell you what you need to know. I didn't read, end to end either. I read a couple parts that I needed and did what I needed to do. Understand the general operation and figure it out from there. You don't have to know everything. Leave the trade better than you found it, guys. Thanks for watching. See y'all next time.